Hey, what's up, mi gente? It's Anthony Rosa, the community finance coach, aka Mr. Remedy. I'm super excited today on this Money Monday. I have my friend Bernard Jackson here. We're going to be talking about borrowing against your art. This is a conversation that I'm getting into as a finance coach. I think it's always important for that continued education aspect of it, and helping others as a tax strategy, understanding if they have a family foundation or an appreciation for art, how they could leverage it. So before we do that, Bernard, I would love for everybody to get a chance to, meet you and get to know you a little bit better. So please introduce yourself and tell us who you are.
Hi, guys. Well, my name is Bernard Jackson. I'm an artist. I work also as a scenic artist. I've worked in the film industry for over 40 years. I own a gallery in the village of South Orange, and I'm a visual artist. In film, they call me a scenic artist, but over the last 45 years, I've owned a gallery and sold amazing works of art, worked on about 90 different films, and I live in West Orange. And it's just such an amazing thing to see how the culture of art is changing. Artists are starting to sell their originals, people are starting to acquire their originals. They're understanding the value of art. That, yes, it's important to buy it because it feeds your soul, but there's
Sure.
a true value to art. Things are changing in the industry, and you can borrow against the art that you purchase.
Right. And so tell me, how was it getting into the industry? Tell us a little bit about the art industry for those that don't know or understand it.
Well, the art industry is extremely fluent. It's a it's an organic being. For me as an artist, I did not understand what it was to be an artist. I just knew I wanted to draw and paint. And from years and years of working in the industry, I understand the nature of the beast. And so it is a lot about your talent, and it's mostly your drive, but also it's people who are influencers and who are people who purchase and buy, and the galleries and the studios and where you've trained as an artist. So it's a montage of all of those things put into a big pot of gumbo, and that gives you a presence in the industry. And every time you do a piece, it identifies you in the industry. But as
Mm.
people start acquiring your art and accessing your art, it raises the bar every year. So a piece that I sold for years ago for maybe $5,000, 20 years ago, now that piece is selling for 50,000.
Hmm. And so
And so a lot of it,
continue.
yeah, yes,
No,
a
I'm
lot of
saying
it
a lot
was,
of it.
yes, it was me learning how to be not just talented, but prolific. Because, I started out pretty much following the industry, wanting to do limited edition prints, and then I realized that, I didn't want to put myself in a little box. So I needed to develop my talent to the point where I could be prolific. I could push out high quality art um, in a short amount of time. And so as I started becoming more prolific and my volume of work started increasing, then I could start really, really controlling my market. And I would supply when I wanted to supply the industry. I didn't have to do an edition size of 5,000 or 2,500. And so I kind of like veered away from doing limited. I only do originals. And if I do an edition, that means I've taken the image and reproduced it. I might do an edition of 100 because it's supply and demand. You don't want to oversaturate the market with your art. And then now the serious collectors start coming to me saying, oh, wow, I want to get one of his pieces. And you started getting a different clientele of people who are collecting your, because these people are not just buying because they love it. They're buying because they want to, this needs to be a part of their portfolio. This
Mm.
needs to be a part of their, because it's going to feed their soul for the rest of their life. A painting lasts 600 years. But
Wow.
building your net worth and building your financial portfolio should include art. 10% of that should be art. And the blue chip art, yes, we can always buy Michelangelo or Pablo Picasso, and some people can't afford those pieces. But you can
Right.
catch an emerging artist like me and some of the other artists that are starting to make noise in the industry, and their works are starting to go up in value. And so
Mm,
now you can put your artwork on your homeowner's policy, have it appraised by a certified art appraiser.
mm.
You can then take that with a decent credit score and you can go to the bank and borrow against your art. And it never goes down in value. Also, you can it helps your, it's a capital gain. So in other words, you can write off artwork and the depreciation of it or appreciation of it. I mean, it's an amazing tool to use in your financial arsenal.
Wow. When we were having this conversation earlier, and we were kind of like figuring out, or you were sharing with me, right, about these appraisal companies, and I was figuring out how does it work from a tax strategy standpoint. Can you talk to everybody about like how does art get appraised? What's the process? Because for
Okay.
me, those
hmm
that are not involved in it, they might not know as much, Bernard. So how does that process work?
Well, normally when a person buys one of my paintings, the first thing they want to do is add it to the homeowner's policy. Now, the artist has to give you a letter of authenticity. He has to give you all the paperwork, like the deed of a car. Then we have an appraiser. His name is Todd. I can't recall his last name right now, but he's appraised hundreds of pieces for us. He's a certified licensed appraiser. He's accredited by Christie's and Sotheby's, the major auction houses. They respect him. Now, there's a lot of appraisers out there, but
Hmm.
Todd understands my genre of art. I'm
Right.
an African American artist. I'm not a black artist. I'm just an African American artist, and I do a wide range of pieces. I do abstract. I do an impressionist. I do realistic pieces. I do sculptures. So he understands, has followed my development as an artist. So he then does an appraisal, and so that appraisal is a cost to it. It's not anywhere near the price of the piece, but it's a cost. And then once he
Mhm.
gives you this document, and it's like a series of paperwork that legally says this is what this painting or sculpture
Wow.
is worth. You can then take his appraisal along with insurance because you have to put it on your homeowner's policy
Okay.
to a bank or to a financial institution. And with a decent credit score, you can borrow up to 80% of the value of that works. And
Wow.
that's amazing. That totally, and this is just recently happened over the last few years. That changes the trajectory of buying and selling art. So instead of you buying a print that has no value, you want to buy originals. You want to say, I want an original painting because it's a lot easier to get an original appraised than a copy that you framed. And so that's where the buying and selling of art or the education aspect comes in. You
Hmm.
need, along with understanding the artist's background, his development, where he's been schooled, the galleries, his clientele
Wow.
base. You need to
So
do a
there's a
little
lot to take
research.
into
Um,
consideration there. Sounds like.
Yes. Oh, there's a lot to take in care because you just don't want to just buy if you're buying for investment purposes. You need to understand who's buying and selling this artist. Who is he? Like Basquiat, who's a famous artist. Jay-Z bought up one of his paintings, I think, for 9 million and sold it for like so, and he did a song based on that. So
Wow.
a lot of wealthy people they buy art to offset their taxes.
So again, what I want to point out is for a disclosure, we're not giving any kind of tax advice. We're just talking about some strategies that are out there that are legal that we can use and leverage. There's certain tax codes that I would recommend that you speak with, your CPA, your accountant, or your tax preparer. Me as a finance coach, I've been coaching for over 9 years on the credit and debt side, and for me, I find this conversation fascinating, Bernard. I think that I always thought that as a traditional business owner, you try to get as much deductions as possible, and then pay taxes on whatever your adjusted gross income is. When that's not really the fact with the one percenters. I'm finding
A
that,
lot of people.
yeah. What were you gonna say?
No, no, no. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying that a lot of people, they don't know these things that are out there. So a lot of the things that you're sharing is for the first time news.
Yeah. Mhm. Um, a lot of my collectors and a lot of my friends that acquire my art, we've had these conversations here at my home over dinner, in which we're talking about the buying and selling of art. And we've done extensive research on the importance of art being in your portfolio, art being in your home, art being in your home that reflects your culture, because it's going to feed your soul. So, in other words, the painting will be around for 600 years. But the added value is that that painting is worth a certain amount of money. And so, how do you leverage that? If you need to. And so that's where the conversation gets real exciting, because now not only you're buying something that you love and you adore, and it just feeds your soul, but it can also help your portfolio and help you financially.
Mm. I loved a phrase you said earlier. I'm going to put up for everybody. With art, you're not spending, you're investing.
Exactly. A lot of people have that illusion that, oh, I just bought this painting. I just paid $20,000 for this painting. No, you did not. You invested $20,000 into a piece of art.
Right.
And when you think of it that way, you now say, you know what? I didn't lose that money. All I did was transfer that money to another form of wealth,
Right.
And so, you know, I've been doing art all my life. So it's my passion. I know you can tell. I mean, I'm passionate about it. But it has survived me as a businessman, and it's survived my family. And and it's an amazing thing to be able to do something you love, because it's not a job when you love it. It's I don't have a job,
Right.
as an artist. I'm just so passionate about being able to share my gift with the world.
So, what we're talking about now, it sounds like, is teaching people how art appreciates in value. And really, at the end of the day, when we're talking about a tax strategy, it's right, building a legacy plan. And I love that we can include that and position art as a way that we're both building culturally, and it's a financial tool. It's really great to put into perspective, because when you start to learn and have conversations with your tax planner and accountant, and you see that you can take up to a certain amount of tax credits for up to 5 years, it becomes a powerful tool. Now,
Yeah.
Bernard, I have
And
a question. Yeah, what were you going to say?
mhm. No, when I, just piggybacking on what you said, when I sat down with my accountant and we started, doing the research, and we started understanding the potential of what you possess as an artist, it's exciting. It's exciting. That term starving artist does not exist. I used to use that term, and it manifests itself. And now I don't think I've used that word in 5 years. I just used it because I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it. It does not exist. I am not a starving artist. Yeah.
Right,
But
right.
you were saying?
Yeah, so no, continue that. So, talk to us about some of your art, and, tell us a little bit more about your gallery. Where is your gallery? How can people find you?
Okay. Well, I'm in the village of South Orange, New Jersey. I've had galleries all over the world. This one has been open about 8 years. I used to be in South Orange for almost 28 years, and I moved around. And so now I'm back. I consider South, I've lived here most of my life in South Orange, West Orange, even though I'm from South Carolina. I work primarily in caulking, which is a textured material. I have my own brand of colored caulking, which is 196 different colors. And God's willing, next year it's going to be in Home Depot, Lowe's, and Michael's. So now
Oh
you
yeah.
got watercolor, you got oil, you got acrylics, and now you got caulking. So I'm a caulker. Like he's a sculptor or a painter. I call myself a caulker. And so
Okay.
people laugh at me, but when you see my pieces, go to my website, go to my Facebook page, go to my Instagram, and when you see the texture, it's amazing. And I work with a
Mhm.
palette knife, not a paintbrush, a palette
Okay.
knife, which is like a butter knife.
Wow.
And like I said, and I've been doing this. Um, my first film project was with Spike Lee, Malcolm X. And then from there, I worked on Die Hard 3, Strictly Business, Tales of the Dark Side, Boomerang, Do the Right Thing. I just finished working on Saturday Night Live. I did about 2 years, and I'm kind of like retired from the film industry from Saturday Night Live. I did Tracy Morgan's new show. We did 6 episodes last year called it's called Crutch. It was at the beginning of this year. And
Mhm.
I still do The View and Tamarind Hall. I go in and refurbish the sets there periodically. Um, my daughter and my son are now in the film industry. I was able to crack a door so that they could get in, but
Oh, that's
those years are
great.
over. Yeah, I like sitting at the easel, painting and drawing and sculpting. Film industry was a tool for me. It opened up amazing doors. Because I had a chance to work with Denzel,
Mhm.
Bruce Willis, Samuel Jackson. Even though I
Those are
was
some
just
amazing
one of the
names.
people on the
Yeah.
team, I was there with them. And
Right.
Halle Berry. I worked with her on one of her first films. Go Natalie. It switched over to the name Strictly Business. Tommy Davis. And so and just last weekend we were in the Vineyard, and I was having dinner, lunch, and Spike Lee walked in, and we had a conversation because he wrote a letter to the union to get me in as a scenic artist. So, you know,
Wow.
I've been, my man, I've had an amazing journey as an artist.
And
Ups and
so
downs,
I guess with
ups
that
and
with that
downs.
says now do those things compound to the artist work now when you're talking about appreciation with like that kind of track record, that kind of experience? Does that go involved in the value process, so to say?
Of course, my background as a scenic artist has elevated the level of value in my artwork. All that I've done, my dossier, my resume as an artist, that's a part of who the artist is. And so when people say, "Oh, he's done things with Magic Johnson," "Oh, Whoopi Goldberg has one of his pieces," Bill Cosby bought some of his artwork. All of these people add to the value of you as an artist. It raises the envelope for you as an artist.
So now we're not what I'm about to ask right now. I'm not asking to choose one because I think that everybody should have it in their portfolio. But when we're talking about crypto, real estate, and art, now people can consider art as a real vehicle to improve their quality of life, all while having something that appreciates over time.
Right. A lot of my customers buy and sell. They will buy my artwork. A friend of mine, one of my customers, a friend of mine, his name was Tim McChristian. He bought one of my pieces. He sold his house. It was a huge mural, attachable mural that I did. And when he sold the house, the lady said, "I'll buy the house if you'll sell me the painting with the house." And the painting was like 30 feet by 15 feet, and a massive painting. It was 3 parts. It was a triptych. And he ended up selling the piece for 3 times what he bought it for.
Wow.
And so, yeah, and then he called me and introduced another customer to me. And so art is definitely needs to be a part of your portfolio. I mean, when you look at a lot of the one percenters, they have artwork in their portfolio, artwork in their homes, valuable pieces of art. And you don't even know if they like it or not, but it has value to it.
Right. That's amazing. And I think that this is We're changing the narrative. We had a
Right.
conversation earlier about changing the narrative, and I think that what this show is all about, changing the narrative. I think that it's really important. Note takers are money makers. So if you're watching this on the live, please hashtag live. If you're watching on the replay, please hashtag replay. Let us know what you think. Give us a thumbs up, like, comment, share. If you're a real estate developer, if you're an investor, if you are a business owner that thinks that going to zero at the end of the year, chasing the dollar is, what has been your strategy, I'd like to set up a meeting with you. I'd love to introduce you to, my friends, my resources like Bernard here, where we can kind of talk about different ways on leveraging. And wow, Bernard, what would you say right now would be a call to action? Because we can talk all day, but it's Monday. I like to do these lunch and learns, right? As a subject matter expert, I value your time and those that are watching. What would you say is a call to action for those that are, watching this conversation? Really, again, around borrowing against your art.
You know what? We got this saying in the art world. You need to get your art game up. Just like you get your financial game up or your um, your golf game up, you need to get your art game up. And you need to understand and do your research behind what is truly an original piece of art and the value in it. You don't just need to just buy. You need to research and then buy. You know, but again, if you're just buying a piece of art that you love and it's going to feed this thing inside of you, the price doesn't matter. If you bought it for $7, it did its work. But we have to be more educated when we're collecting art. We have to be more educated when we're looking at our portfolio and when we're thinking about the world market because it is evolving and changing. Art has never went down in value. It's always been one of those things in the wealthiest portfolios they collect. The most valuable piece of art in the world is the Mona Lisa. It's priceless. They don't know what it's valued at. And it's no bigger than this. So size doesn't matter, even though a lot of people think size does matter. Size doesn't matter. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it has a lot to do, of course, with the artist and his background, his training, his talent, you know, and who has his works. Do your research on that and then reach out to me if you're interested in,
Oh wow. That was great.
getting
That was
some art.
phenomenal. Again, for those that are watching, you can just kind of replay when we're done on on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Please reach out to us. We would love to be just a part of your team, you know. And rounding third base, Bernard, what are your final thoughts? I think that we gave a bunch of remedies today. It's an honor to have you on the show with such an amazing resume and you know it's really inspiring that you've been in the industry for this long and done what you've done and still passionate like it's your day one, and I can feel that. So what are your final thoughts for those that are maybe just starting out in art collection? Maybe they just thought about it, maybe they feel that
Mhm.
they can't afford it. So what would you say to that artist that is a dreamer? So what are some of your final thoughts to kind of get some things off your chest?
You know what? I'm gonna give you two little stories. When I was in college, they used to give us a work study check, money to buy things. One of my friends, he took his work study check and he bought a piece of artwork every month. He has one of the largest collections of art in the world now.
Hmm.
Young artists, and you're out there and you want to get into the industry, just do it. Don't hesitate. Don't think about it. Just do it. If you want to paint and you want to become an artist, just pick up a piece of paper, some jelly, some peanut butter, anything that has color, and just do it. Because when you start thinking about it, you're going to lose that momentum. So when I want to paint, I just do it. I don't know what I want to do. I just do it. And it'll come. It'll come. The art world is is massively wonderful. I mean, it is amazing the people that you're going to meet, the personalities, the conversation, the dialogue. It is more than just buying and selling art. You know, for me, it's my lifestyle, it's my passion. Everything about me revolves around my talent. And meeting you um, is about art, you know, and so the dialogue and the conversation is amazing. And I just can't wait to meet some of you and talk to some of you about the buying and selling of art, because you don't have to buy my art. I'm gonna guide you to buying art that you love, because you just don't want to buy it because you want to sell it. You want to buy it because it feeds your soul, and it can
Mm.
also help your income.
I love that. I think that, it reminds me of a saying, it's not how you start in life, it's, how you build up to your finish, and what is your exit strategy, and did you enjoy it along the way, right? Were you just always on that create, create, create? You never got to that the mastery of multiplying and then preserving, protecting, conserving, right? A lot of us in that fast pace would just, go, go, go. And when you're talking about art, it's a beautiful thing. It just kind of slows things down, just kind of lets it over time appreciate. Not too many things like that aside from real estate, or maybe some things that they would say on the market can do that, right, Bernard? But, again, I want to say thank you for coming on the Money Monday show. Thank you for those that were watching. I hope you were inspired. I definitely felt connected with you guys for watching. I hope you learned something new. And again, we'll see you here on the Money Monday show. I always like to close with a quote of the show. The quote today is, "You cannot control the wave, but you can adjust the sail." I want to say go in grace, go in peace, everybody. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. Bye, everybody.
Here.